What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch in the Roo, presented by Skyman Premium Cannabis, inspiring all of us to feel better, look better, smell better, mostly just feel better every damn day of our lives. And our Friday morning show, yes, the oldest of old school time slots for our live listeners, our Friday morning show presented by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Download the app today. Play the games we're playing, including the Super Bowl prop bets that we're playing. We'll get into those again shortly here before we do your Groovy Donut Twitter questions. Tons of game specials and prop bets. Again, download the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app today and play the games with us. Jason, how you doing, brother?
Call.
Hey, buddy, one thing Skymint can't fix is, and that's your furnace. How cold was it sleeping last night, huh?
It was rough. This morning was really rough. Like, it's just trying to keep myself busy. The new furnace coming in this afternoon.
Nice.
Paying not a bad deal. Like, I don't want to complain about the furnace thing because everybody goes through it. I don't think our deal was any worse than anybody else's.
No, you have to act like you're the first person to lose your furnace. Get on Facebook and complain.
No, it had a really good
part.
experience with Vervagood is what it's called.
Say it again? What?
It's the word, like, in terms of SEO and marketing, I know it's their name.
Cockburn.
But it's like it's spelled
Him on a-hole a lot.
It's spelled Vredevoogd.
Oh.
Like, if you're from Holland or whatever Dutch national, just change your name to Smith.
Upper Deck Jerk Guy is going to hear that and put that in next week's either hot takes or Twitter questions.
Yeah, no, not.
I can't say that word.
It's rough, but they've been great. And you remember that club that I was in where I was paying them like an arm and a leg a month? Yeah. I'm back in for free because I got a furnace. So
they're just desperately waiting for you to come back.
If you drop $8,000,
money.
you get in the $20 a month club for.
Welcome back.
Yeah, that's what they said. But you know what? As I told them, I was like, yeah, you guys are the suckers because I've got the 30-year-old air conditioner outside that you guys are going to have to maintenance for the next 3 years. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Good.
Exciting day in our household. My wife's dream is jury duty, and she finally got her lifelong dream. I mean, she's been planning for it, prepping for it. She wants to be the jury forewoman and all that. She finally got called in today. She hasn't come home yet, so maybe they'll keep her. Maybe she'll be sequestered all weekend.
Oh, they'll keep her in there.
I don't know. They say she was trying to. And I don't want to
act dumb.
Yeah, I don't want to put anybody down who's ever gotten chosen for a jury, but they say that you don't want to look too intellectual. You don't want to come off as too
You got to rube it.
Yeah, you got to kind of rube it. And so she was really practicing rubing it last night. And
see, guys like me, I want to get out of jury duty.
And they see right through you.
But I will say, I mean, I do like true crime, but some of these court TV, like my mom used to watch court TV back in the day, and it's like, it's just ponderous. Like, there's no way. Like, yeah, you like the meat of the story, but you're just sitting there in a box. You're talking to other people. You got to do it day in and day out. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. Yeah, no, I part of me would want to be on a jury. I don't know if I'd want to hear the gory details of something that was really, really, really serious. But,
Well, yeah, who does?
Yeah. So.
I mean, again, we do watch those Dateline episodes that get pretty intense.
That's true. To Catch a Predator.
They don't do that anymore.
They don't do To
I
Catch
don't
a
think
Predator?
so.
No.
I haven't seen any new episodes. Those guys stopped. Is there no more of those crimes being committed where we don't need the show anymore?
I got to say, it must have been a somewhat effective deterrent. They're always going to be, perverted, sick people out there.
My favorite one was the guy showed up with like 2 bean burritos from Taco Bell. And the girl, she was like 27 who played like she was 13, would always stand in the back of the house, like, and they would always be skeptical and like look in, and they're like, she's like, no, come on in. I'd be like, right there, get the hell out of here.
Yeah. She
Wrong
doesn't.
with you?
Yeah. Not that we've
defending
thought
these
this
guys.
through. Like how? Yeah, right. I'm like, this sounds really bad. Not that we've thought through.
Well,
If
I'm
she
just
doesn't open
saying
the door, wait a second. This should not be something we thought through.
All right, I guess we should start the show.
Yeah. All right. Before we get in our Groovy Donut Twitter questions, and you guys delivered excellent stuff, what we are betting this weekend, presented by the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Jason, what are you betting this weekend?
Well, Graham, we have 2 days to get our bankroll going for the Super Bowl, and you know what that means. Gambling on college hoops. Now, tomorrow's slate is unbelievable, but tonight we have to do something. What else are we going to do tonight, right? Slate's not that great, but I have Xavier minus 6.5 at minus 115. I'm happy about that. Also, Fresno State plus 9 to hook. I'll be honest, I have no idea how Fresno State is, how they play, or whatever. All I know is there's sharp money coming in on Fresno State tonight. I need some action. Give me those 2. Let's get some Super Bowl money rolling.
So I like your Xavier bet a lot. Butler
plus 249.
Butler is ass this year. And my sister's going to be at the game tonight. She's a Butler alum.
Nice.
And so I'll have her give us, if she feels a certain vibe, I'll see if we can get some info
Set the
from her.
scene for us.
Yeah.
But tomorrow's college hoop slate's unbelievable. So
Yeah. Well, this whole weekend's pretty good, except for the fact that I'm not going to complain about being in Columbus on Super Bowl Sunday.
But you just did.
I know.
In a roundabout way.
There's an over/under prop bet on it that somebody put in the Twitter questions that's not great.
So
also,
what's going to have to happen then? Are you going to stay in Ohio? Are you driving back?
It looks like I'm going to miss the first half driving back.
Oh.
It sucks. Now, I talked – the guys weren't with – so the other writers suck. Let me just say this. Not Charbonneau. Charbonneau's cool. But Solari and Kyle, these guys weren't into this. What I wanted to do was rent a party bus.
Boy.
With a TV in it on the way home. We take one-way rental cars there. And then I looked at the price. Might actually be better just to do it round trip out of Lansing all day. And I thought if I thought about this earlier, this is what I would have done. And I think people would have been down for this. I could have put together my own little travel package for people where we leave Lansing at 7:30 a.m. on Sunday. We're in a party. There's it's like a 12-person or whatever more party bus with a big TV in it. Go to Columbus. Everybody's got tickets to the Michigan State-Ohio State game. After, they're going to have to wait around a little after because I got to, do a little work. But then we get on the party bus, take it back with the Super Bowl on, and it'd be like, and we all chipped in. It wasn't that bad. It's like
Why
$2,000.
Why wouldn't you just stay another night? And you guys all hang out and watch it at a bar somewhere.
Because these guys with young kids, like their wives don't want them to do that shit.
I have to say, I would pay $29.99 to have a camera installed and watch you nerds party on the way back from Ohio on that bus, though.
Yeah.
Like Solari
on the pole. It'd be amazing.
But why wouldn't you guys just stay? Grab a couple. You guys want to stay another night and hang? And
I would say there's a small chance that Charbonneau and I still get there's like a.
Slari's got 3 kids. Why? I would be coming up with anything to get out of there.
Yeah, I don't think it's that easy. For those of us who don't have kids like you and I, we just act like it's.
I made that decision.
Yeah. So there's a small chance Charbonneau and I will hang back and watch the game, and I may just get on the road late, rent a hotel for a few hours, and then get on the.
For a few hours, you gonna go to one of those hotels that rents by the hour?
No, but look,
vibrating bed.
I'm leaving Sunday morning for this reason. So, in other words, if I decide to get a hotel, they can pay for it. They can pay for one night in a hotel, even if I'm only there for 4 hours and they decide to come home later.
That's true. They owe that to you.
Well, no, I'm just saying they would happily pay for one night in a hotel for me to go to Columbus. So if they don't have to know whether I was there for 4 hours.
Let's get your boss on the phone.
Let's not do that. All right, what I am betting this weekend, presented by Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. First of all, props to Thomas Dombrowski, one of our listeners, for finding the odds on the no touchdowns to be scored at plus 10,000.
What?
That's all big odds. I don't.
Sprinkle.
I'm going to sprinkle. I've got to do it. I also am going to be on the Firekeepers app. Has largest lead under 16.5 for minus 130. Like that a lot. And then sprinkling a little on Travis Kelce MVP at plus 900. And then Premier League Soccer, West Ham Chelsea under 2.5. And I also I'm riding Everton plus 505 at Liverpool. Weird feeling, whatever. Liverpool's not been good. Big underdogs. Everton looked better last week. They're going to sit back. Maybe they get a counter. I'll take it at the value at plus 505. So that's what I'm betting this weekend on the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. You ready to dig into these Groovy Donut Twitter questions?
Of course, man. Eric Schultz up first. Max Christie is on pace to finish his rookie year better than Gary Harris's rookie year in points, minutes, field goal, and three-point percentage. Currently, he's shooting a better percentage from 3 in the NBA than he did at MSU. Does this surprise you? Does it say anything about how MSU used and coached him?
Yeah, yes and no. And I don't mean to Graham Stott it right off the bat.
Okay.
But here's why I would say no. Is that what it shows is he was a developmental guy, kind of like Jaren Jackson and guys. The best of them isn't that first year. And when you only get it, I'm not saying you shouldn't recruit one and dones, because he was actually an effective player last year. He didn't live up to expectations, but he was a pretty decent defender. Scored 10 points a game on a team that needed it. Like, it wasn't like he was not helpful being on the team. And that said, you're just not getting the best of him. He's growing into a lot of the skills that he showed some flashes for. The part of that's yes, though, is I think it speaks to not so much how he was coached, but how the roster was constructed, who was on it last year, and their faults elsewhere, that too much was expected of him. And, I've talked before that I don't think this year's team misses Max Christie. That doesn't mean he wouldn't be really effective on it, given how many better pieces around him. Maybe he would be the guy that raises their ceiling. You throw Max Christie into this group, it's a different, obviously maybe less is expected of him. Last year when Gabe Brown, who was a very inconsistent leading scorer, is the guy, that's a challenge.
No offense to Gabe.
No offense to Gabe. I like Gabe a lot, but and I think he wasn't ready for the load that was put on him, and that was partly on the lack of readiness for the rest of the roster, and that wore on him. And so I think those two things are part of it.
Next one from Eric. Rank these players from most likely to be on next year's roster to least likely. Malik Hall, Matty Sissoko, and Pierre Brooks.
This is a really good question. I'm going to go most likely to be on next year's roster. Malik Hall. Second most likely, Matty Sissoko. Third most likely, Pierre Brooks. And that speaks to a couple things. One, it speaks to, I don't know, all three could be back. That speaks to how I feel Malik Hall is going to come back. And my sense is that, this is not the senior year he wants. Unless he's really unhappy at MSU somehow, where he's a captain and he's a mature guy and he has a sense of the bigger picture and wants to go play college basketball somewhere else. Sissoko, I think, will be back too. You could always see, like, with the two centers they have, with Xavier Booker coming in, and with the notion that Dwayne Stevens is at Western Michigan, the guy who helped, it wasn't the guy who discovered him, that was Mike Garland, but his big man coach for a couple years just down the road in the MAC, where there might be a place for him. You can understand that dynamic at some point could be appealing. I think Sissoko can still be okay in certain roles. The question is he's going to have to compete for time next year. Pierre Brooks, the Pierre Brooks thing is interesting, though, because, like, if Pierre Brooks wants to play high major basketball, he should stick around because he's got a little bit of a role, knows the program, whereas he hasn't been good enough to, like, who's going to be fawning over him at the high major level? So if he wants to go somewhere and go to Oakland or Detroit or something, that teach their own, go to Western or whatever. But if he wants to play high major basketball, I don't think there's an easy place for him. So I tend to think the odds say somebody leaves, but if you ask me individually 50-50 on each of those guys, I would say more than 50% chance they're all back.
Next one from Eric. When we didn't bring in a big, all I heard was that we didn't want to scare off Booker. Now Graham's out here saying he might not start over Sissoko next year. What? Isn't this kid supposed to be a one and done?
I'd be stunned if he's a one and done. Some guys I know go early and the NBA might take him and he could develop there if he chooses to in the G League and stuff. But
but might not start over Sissoko, like, for how long?
Well, I think he'll. Yeah, that's a good question. I was looking back, and I misremembered this with Jaren Jackson. Jaren Jackson actually started 34 of 35 games. I kept thinking he came off the bench more than that, but he started
pretty
a lot.
High percentage of games started, I guess.
Yeah, well, they played too many bigs that year. That was the problem with that team. I mean, they should have brought. He played next to Nick Ward. They should have brought Ward off the bench or him off the bench. That was an issue that they had because they also had the great Ben Carter, if you recall his name, and Kevin Schilling. And those two guys have been hurt the year before, so they came back, and it was like, and I think Izzo mismanaged that. But not that he didn't have he was always going to have that many bigs, but somebody just needed to have their feelings hurt. I think that team would have. The other problem with that team was Miles Bridges was a better four-man at the college level. Part of him coming back was him playing on the wing more. It was a tough situation, but I think they would have been better off with more Miles Bridges at the 4 and more of a platoon with Ward and Jaren Jackson Jr. So, like, I think Booker is going to be a really, really fine player. He needs to put on some muscle, especially in the upper body. And, you know, he would be no better answer defensively for Zach Edey right now. You know, he's not, because of his ranking, people think he's Jaren Jackson. He's not quite there yet. I think he'll be a really good player. But
Booker's mindset isn't, oh, yeah, I'll just come in and play behind Sissoko.
No, my guess is he winds up, you know, but my guess is he winds up probably starting. But here's the other thing. If Jackson Kohler comes back, and I have no reason to think he won't at this point, like, he's a guy, you're starting to see some of those moves on offense, drop step moves that are like ooh and ah moves, and he doesn't finish half of them right now. But you can see a situation where, like, Mady Sissoko is really going to have to fight for time.
Unless he has a great finish to the rest of the season in March Madness. I mean, other than that, Booker starts over Mady. Right? I mean, come on.
Yeah. I don't think the politics of it either. At that point, Maddie's a senior. What is, right? And so Mady will have to decide. Does he want? The other thing that could happen though is, and I think Malik Hall's coming back, and I think you'd start. My guess for a starting lineup next year is, Jaden Akins, Jeremy Fears Jr., A.J. Hoggard, Malik Hall, Xavier Booker. But you could see a scenario where...
Are we forgetting about my guy, Cohen Carr?
Oh, he'll play.
I understand, but it just seems like everybody's mentioned the other two dudes.
He's going to...
I'm a big Cohen Carr guy.
There are some rankings that have him above Jeremy Fears. Yeah. I think Carr's going to be a terrific player. I'm just saying in terms of... I don't think he's starting over Akins. And I think Fears... Now... Totally. I mean, you could look at this differently. He could wind up starting, or you could wind up starting Booker at the 4. I mean, he's got skills. He's longer. He moves well. You could start Booker at the 4 with Hall at the 3. You go bigger, and that's not really the way college basketball is going. But then go one of the other 5s. There are a lot of different ways to do it, and Fears and Carr could come off the bench, or there are a lot of different ways it could be. It should be a really good, interesting roster next year for them to put together, and the trick will be getting the absolute most out of it.
Next one from Eric Graham. I can't stand Sissoko. I think he's the first, second, and third reason why this team, which is dripping with sweat equity, is where it is. But, dude, don't compare the man to a guy who, in his last game ever, said it's okay, we lost because no one got cancer. Not fair.
It's the Tum Tum Nairn comparison. Here's the thing with...
I mean, he's not wrong, Tum Tum.
Well, yeah, I mean, Tum Tum's got good perspective. I give him that. Here's the thing is I do think they are similar in certain ways. The thing that Mady Sissoko needs more than anything this offseason is to play tons of basketball. Like, he needs to play the pickup runs with his teammates, the open gyms, then he needs to go to Moneyball, then he needs to go to the YMCA, then the MAC. The guy just needs to get more of a feel for the game. He needs to be out there with the old men at the Y and the MAC who, like, have played for a zillion years and he's better than, but they just have a sense about things. He doesn't have a sense about things. And you see that, and that's what, at the point guard, and it's more important for a point guard to have it. So in that sense, he doesn't have to get to the same place that they really need Tum Tum to get to. But you can see from his teammates that there's no sense that he would understand any improvisation or any, read this is a little different. Like, on the fly, that's what chemistry is on the court, and that's at every level. And that's what people really understand the game. It's what makes Draymond Green so dang effective.
Maddie, we just need you to go play some old white guys at the MAC. Can you do that?
Just a lot of that.
Runs.
A lot of that. Just
Graham
dominate.
Couch just said it on his podcast that you should probably go play with some stiffy white guys.
There you go. Yeah.
Problem solved. Dominic next. I know Tom is Tom, the use it or lose it timeout before half, even though someone always steps on the baseline. The mandatory sit with 2 fouls, even though it cost us against Texas Tech. No zone, ever. But why in the fuck of ever-loving fucks does Tom have to auto-sub when up 15-0?
Yeah, well, some of it is just, you're right, because there are the guys who are slated to come in at a certain moment.
Don't coach my team.
And there is, and I remember this happening at Ohio State, the irony of them playing at Ohio State this week. It's happened a couple times at Ohio State where they have had leads or been playing really well and made subs and things have gone wrong. Now, the thing is, you can't just leave guys out there forever. And if you go away from your rotation, because you're in a slightly better stretch as you're trying to establish yourself. I don't think that always works. I think it's an oversimplification. I mean, there have been a lot of times I think fans would have said, these are their 5 best guys. Let's play them 40 minutes. Why is Nick Ward ever coming off the freaking court? And look, I have some of those same instincts every once in a while. And I'll tell you where you're right, Dominic, though. I am a big believer on you don't mess with something that is perfect. In other words, sometimes if you're up 15-0 and the other team hasn't scored, it's sort of like the student section doesn't sit down or whatever. Just leave the lineup until the other team actually scores. Or don't mess with the exact group you have out there when it is perfect. See how long you can take it. And then,
unless your guys are gassed, right? I mean,
well, that's the other thing you have to watch. Is are you? Yeah, you might be able to see things differently than other people do. Like this is not going to last. And it's true that when you're up 15-0 at home, it's not real. Shots are falling, the crowd's into it, the other team's off to a rough start. It's not real. So if you can find that balance, it's sort of like making a live bet, Dominic. So like last night, I'm betting a Liga MX soccer game, and I've already got the under 2.5 goals. Feeling great about it, scoreless at halftime. But both teams are creating chances. So in the second half, I'm like, there's real plus money on the over 1.5. Where's the sweet spot? How much plus money can I get? Plus 130, plus 142 to sort of hedge and try and hit the middle. I got it at plus 142. A minute and a half later, they scored the first goal, then the second goal, and I hit both. It was an incredible night of betting.
Are you
Mexican
a professional
soccer.
Gambler?
I'm with Mexican soccer. I'm pretty good. So what I mean is, though, you have to have that feel. And I could have bet it then, and it could have gone another 20 minutes, and the odds could have got a lot better, and I would have missed it. You got to try and have a feel and maximize that run, if that makes any sense. I think Dominic would appreciate the live betting comparison.
Dominic, with this one, is it fair to say that Tom's resistance to play in the portal last summer had the unintentional consequence of making Maddie a punching bag? There wasn't a fallback, Cassius over Tom, as you alluded to last show. Well, nobody has improbable pancreatic cancer, I guess.
I think that's inoperable.
Inoperable.
Close enough. Improbable is either way.
It's early.
Yeah. Two cancer references from Tum Tum in the open. That's solid.
Hey,
good work.
When you make a solid point.
Yeah, or you leave a legacy. One of the two. It's there's no doubt. Like, this isn't Marty's fault. Nothing out there. Like, the kid is playing his ass off, right? And I talked to him it was a group of us talking to him after practice yesterday, and he is, he gets it. And I was asking him about the things he learned from different big men he's had to face. And Zach Edey, if you face him again, he was just talking about the things. The angles he's learned to try and take away and the things he has to do in terms of keeping him out. He's never going to be a good matchup for Zach Edey, but I wouldn't be surprised if the next time, if he had to face him next year or in the Big Ten tournament, if it looked a little bit better. Just you can tell he's processing it. He's learning it. He some of it's just an overwhelming
I know, but
matchup.
I think fans saw those 2 games where he looked like an All-American. Like, where was that? I think that's the question. If Maddie didn't have those kind of games, people wouldn't ask about
That's
them.
the best question is why did those 2 games happen and they can't happen anymore?
Right.
And some of it is what teams have realized where his limitations are, and they've taken away the ability to the alley-oop off the screen and roll with Mady Sissoko. Teams have said, that ain't happening. It's a momentum-swinging play. It's the only thing he can really do offensively. He's not going to have that. That's not how this team is going to beat us. And it's also a strength of their point guard, especially A.J. Hoggart, so that's gone offensively. The defense and rebounding, though, is a fair question, especially the rebounding. He was a really good rebounder, and he has been here and there. And his rebounding per 40 minutes still isn't that bad, but he is not the rebounder I thought he would be, for sure.
Next one from Dominic. Graham, MSU has been underwhelming ever since they switched from the beautiful Script State jerseys to these current pieces of shit prior to the 2021 season. Why don't you keep your same anti-neon jersey energy and expose these monstrosities?
Yeah, so I didn't realize that record-wise, and they didn't say it out. The neon just flashes at you, right? So it's a good. I would love to know what the if the record is that bad. I haven't even noticed them being that bad. Do you hate their jerseys? I didn't.
I really don't. I do like the Script jerseys, but if they don't play in them, like, it doesn't really hurt me either way.
Okay.
Right? Because it's not for me anymore.
Yeah.
I'm 43. Who gives a shit what I think? Dominic, what does my dog Spartacus have to do to get you to change your Facebook birthday like to a Facebook birthday love. Pee your initials in the grass. Get it together, Couch. This is bigger than us.
Dominic, you'd be happy to know. As soon as I saw this, I went in last night. I found the original post. It wasn't that far down. He's not an over poster on Facebook. And went in there. And
I would still take the pee your initials, though. It's pretty impressive.
That's okay. I wanted to celebrate Spartacus properly, and I went in and loved the post. By the way, if you want to celebrate Fat Tuesday properly, Groovy Donuts is here for you with punchkis and extended hours and all sorts of things. Like, this is their biggest day of the year. And I'll be honest, I'm not a huge punchki guy, but I don't need to sell them because people absolutely love them, and I don't hate punchkis. I mean, I'll eat punchkis, but I'm a bigger donut guy. And so, just so you know, first of all, they pre-order punchkis. Best, really important because it is, again, their busiest day of the year. The hours change a little bit, though. Usually they're only open 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thursday through Sunday. They're open Tuesday the 21st, Fat Tuesday, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Also, on the 20th, pickup orders for punchkis, they're open that Monday at the East Lansing location. So all sorts of ways to get your punchkis, and they're open on Fat Tuesday. Go to groovydonuts.com and place your pre-order for all sorts of punchkis: apple, apricot, blueberry, cherry, chocolate cream. Oh my! Okay, I'm going to start drooling here. So, but you get the idea. You get the idea. 2 locations: Groovy Donuts, East Lansing, and on Lake Lansing Road, and in Williamston, and that's groovydonuts.com. All right, back to your Groovy Donut Twitter questions.
Did we read Dominic's his last one? Spartacus.
Yeah,
Ricky Lombardi next. With MSU on a collision course to face Michigan in the tourney finals, does the winner of the NIT gain bragging rights to proclaim themselves more mediocre than the other?
Michigan State's not going to be in the NIT. They're just not. And I mean, it's at this point, if they beat Ohio State, when I talked earlier about 12-8, I think there's a really good chance they go 12-8, and that's just based on who Ken Palm thinks will be. That's not me overstating it with who's left on the schedule. It's winning the home games that are left, pretty much, and winning at Nebraska. The schedule is so much easier than it was in the front end. And I think and I'm going to do a column, I think, on this at some point. Part of dealing with their schedule, if you took most other teams in the Big Ten schedule and put it over Michigan State's instead, and just took projected wins on Ken Palm, Michigan State would have a very different record, and they'd be ahead of most of the pack. And they might be thought of a little differently. Now, that said, they score 63 points just about every damn game. They haven't scored 70 in 10 games. They've scored 63 or 65 or less in like 7 of the last 8 or something like that, 6 of the last 7. So they got issues offensively, especially. I'm not saying those things are going away. But I do think that they just need to get to 10 wins to be safely in the tournament in the Big Ten. That's not everybody, but that's just based on their resume. Michigan State is not going to be in the NIT. And if they win this week, I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, the broad bet is safe as can be if they win Sunday.
So we know who you're rooting for.
Yeah.
A little bit. Ricky, next. Graham, if MSU truly has 5 guys who would start on most other teams, why are we so frustratingly mediocre?
So this is a good question. We'll call it our Cosmic Fries question of the day, presented by Hopcat. Best damn beer bar, world-famous Cosmic Fries, mouth-watering, award-winning burgers, including the Peyton Thorne burger. They do not have a Caton Hauser burger yet. My guess is that could be coming by popular demand. Each location, carefully curated craft beer list with local partners, which is very cool. Tons of TVs to watch the game and grab a pint with friends. Like if you want to see Michigan State hockey versus Michigan tonight, the Hopcat in East Lansing, great place to do it. They started getting crowds for those games. Same for tomorrow's game, which is in Detroit. Huge MSU hockey series, or the game in Columbus on Sunday. Most people don't go out for the Super Bowl, but they'll have that on, and a great way to, if you want to get out of the house and enjoy the beer selection and menu and Cosmic Fries at Hopcat. Go to hopcat.com to see location information. And chances are you live very close, just like a Skyman. Hopcat is all over Michigan. So the question from Ricky Lombardi: why are they mediocre if they've got 5 guys who would start on other teams? It's sort of like an NBA team. They're sort of like the Toronto Raptors now, or who the Brooklyn Nets just became. If you've got 5 guys who are number 3 on every roster, they might start on every roster, but you still don't have a star. What Michigan State does not have is a guy who would be a star on most teams in the country. They have guys who would be really good players. Like if Tyson Walker is your second best scorer, or Joey Hauser is your second or third best scorer, if A.J. Hoggard's your engine-ish, but your third best guy, like those sort of things that's the problem is they have a bunch of really good players. It's like a pitching staff with 5 number 3s. You're gonna win your fair share, but boy, you're gonna run up against other teams' aces and can be in trouble. That to me would be the best way to look at it.
Next one from Ricky. The answer is Xavier Tillman for Maddie. If you could swap one player from the past decade for a current player.
Yeah, that's a good one. And yeah,
can't go wrong with that one.
Peak Xavier Tillman is as important a player as it gets, especially given the makeup of this roster.
Ron Quixote up next. If you had to trade one MSU basketball starter for one Michigan starter, who would it be and why? If your answer is Hunter Dickinson, how much Sky Mint would you need to get through his bullshit?
It's got to be Hunter Dickinson, right? I mean,
would he still do his bullshit with Izzo as his coach, though? I mean, would Dickinson change with? But yeah, the answer is Dickinson.
Yeah, it's Dickinson. Because, first of all, it's not just Dickinson because he's their best player, even though they have Jet Howard who could score and all that. But although Jet Howard's defense would drive Izzo insane. But it's exactly what Michigan State doesn't have. If you put Hunter Dickinson on Michigan State's team, they're a Final Four question mark? Yeah, Final Four contender. And everybody in MSU would love him. They'd love him. They'd find his antics endearing. Absolutely endearing. Not the podcast he's on. And that would be an interesting conversation with Izzo if he was still doing that podcast.
At his mule, like after a basket, like fuck that. I wouldn't root for that ever.
No? Okay.
Nah.
Okay.
And it really has nothing to do with Michigan State. It's just if you see a dude like you don't want to root for a guy like that. Just hitting a bucket, man. Matt in Pittsburgh next. 2000 national championship team. If you swapped out Mateen for Hoggard, I see no drop-off, and they still win it all. It'd be tough to replace Mateen's leadership, but they're very similar players in my mind. Why am I right or wrong?
I'll tell you why. It's pedigree. Mateen Cleaves did what that team needed him to do, and by the time he was a senior, he was like an 11, 12-point scorer, 7 assist, 8 assist guy. And they didn't need it. They didn't need the scoring from him. They had a lot of other really good pieces. You go back to his sophomore year, he did things Hoggard's never done. He carried that team offensively at times. He hit big three after big three. He may have not been a better 3-point shooter than Hoggard by much, but he hit them when they mattered. And there was just and leadership matters. There was once he really figured it out, the engine never turned off much later in his career than it is for Hoggard.
How old is Matt, though? That's what I would like to know. Because, Mateen had the one thing, like they say that dog in you or whatever. Mateen just had that thing inside of him that he would die for a win and that some guys just don't have, and you can't fake it.
And I think, to be honest, I think Sissoko is like not Sissoko, Hoggard, sorry for the PTSD there for Eric and others. Hoggard is sort of a Mateen light in that sense. He's got some dog in him. There are elements of Mateen that exist within Hoggard, but just not
currently. Though, if you give me to choose Mateen or Hoggard, it's easy. Mateen all day. It's not close right now. Levi next. If Mel Tucker needs to pull one basketball player to play a full football game in a do or die situation, who does he take and at what position?
Well, so you want. That's a good question. It would probably be just based on size, and is it Akins? Is it speed? And is it Hall? Is it tight end? Is it Hoggard? Is
Maddie, defensive end?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Maddie might be in the wrong
slap the
sport.
ball to the quarterback's hand.
Yeah, you take out Sissoko's knees, though. I don't know if that'd be great. But 6'8" on the edge, I don't know. Maybe that'd be an interesting question.
Just jump up and wave your hands.
We are going to take a really quick early break because I have to text back this. I knew this was going to happen. We moved the show to the morning, and the Vrevagud guys are like,
just call them Furnace guy.
We're the Furnace guys are like, we're on our way. I'm like, nah, it doesn't work. We're doing a podcast here, so I need to text these guys back. We'll be right back. Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Firekeepers Casino and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app.
Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wondered just how comfortable you can be? Find out with Muskox high-quality flannels. Muskox is a Detroit-based company that creates durable comfort that'll last a lifetime. Muskox flannels are thoughtfully designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. This will be the softest flannel you'll ever buy, guaranteed. For every $100 purchase, Muskox will donate $10 to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. Get comfortable this fall and winter with Muskox flannels. Learn more or order yours today at gomuskox.com.
Christmas is around the corner and beautiful jewelry is on her Christmas list. So where will you go to buy that gorgeous diamond ring or that sparkly diamond necklace or that incredible diamond bracelet? The largest selection and the latest designs of beautiful jewelry that she's been dreaming of. If an engagement ring is on your mind, come into Meadowar Jewelers and let our professional staff explain to you all about natural and lab-created diamonds. Our diamonds are set by master jewelers whose passion for their art shows so clearly in each and every piece. So, for that perfect gift that's on her Christmas list, come into Meadowars by the Lansing Mall, by Meridian Mall.
Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite, Podcast Addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and our friends at Firekeepers and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Back to your Groovy Donut Twitter questions. By the way, the furnace thing is fine. We're good.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
They're just going to go hang out or grab lunch or something?
I just told them, nobody's going to be there till noon. I don't know what you got to do. You can't give me a time and then...
These guys are going to be pissed off.
Yeah, it's not going to be great. Hopefully they don't, not hook it up correctly.
Imagine if they found out what it was actually why they had to wait for the show. Pretty pissed. Andrew Gauthier, over under. How many more times are you going to mention on your pod or Twitter that you're working a game on Super Bowl Sunday? I'll set it at 2.5 for this podcast. Well, we had 1.
Yeah, so it'll be under now. Well, now it's 2 because the question from Andrew.
And not to mention the hot take show. Whenever we're going to do that, you're going to complain about not being able to see the game.
But that's just...
That doesn't count, but, you have to take that into account.
Yeah, multiple pod. He doesn't say just this pod, this particular one. Yeah, so I would go over. I for surely...
Spartan Speak. I mean, what else is there to talk about on that show? Talk about it, right? Andrew, ideal Super Bowl plans. Food, drinks. Do you watch the commercials? Do you have people over? Is it about the game or the experience or both?
Why don't you start with this?
We are going to stay home this Sunday. I really, because usually we go over to our friends like Shane and Linda, but I'd like to watch the game one time without people around, just Treese or, you know what I mean? I feel like if you're at another house, you don't really get to see all of the game. And
I have a buddy who I like to watch the games with, a particular friend, and, obviously it doesn't work. Fuck, I'm going to go over right now. It doesn't work this week because the fucking MSU basketball schedule. Or this year,
two.
But yeah. Well, no, yeah. If you count the question, it's 3 already.
It's always that hook.
Yeah. This week I'll just get home and watch the end. And, I learned if I want to watch with anybody at all, I have to go somewhere because my wife I mean, she'll like puzzle in the next room with a glass of wine, but she's not going to have any interest in it whatsoever, even the Super Bowl.
But I mean, so it's no offense to the people that were around too. It's just that sometimes you just want to, like, especially with a good game like this one, you go, man, I really just want to see every play. But,
yeah, and to the, I mean, I'm good for I'm good for a lot of different things. There are experiences I don't want to be around. I don't want to be around like parties with 10 or 12 people where there's a lot of noise. I guess
with their phones out.
Yeah, give me, inside of 4 good friends. I'm
you
up
have
for
4?
It. Well,
Shit, I don't even think I have 4.
I pay for most of them, but
those are prostitutes.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Andrew, what was your best and worst Valentine's Day experience? I don't think I have one.
You don't have a worst or
I don't.
best?
I really don't. I got to say.
Yeah, I've had some. I mean,
Teresa and I don't do much for it. I'll get her some flowers probably, but it's not a big day in our house.
It's not in ours that much either. I do remember 10 years ago this year on Valentine's Day was my 3rd date with my wife. I took her to see Les Mis, the movie. It was out, with what's his name, the guy from all the superhero movies,
Jerry Mathers,
Hugh Jackman. I got it without even looking it up. Hugh Jackman.
How'd they come up with Jerry Mathers?
And it was actually it was one of the moments I knew my wife liked me because we go to this movie and she disputes how this went down, of course. But we're at the movie theater and coming out of the movie, and this young woman who I've known since I was a child. She's a younger sister of a friend of mine. Comes up to me and I run into her, but she's a good-looking woman, at the time in her late 20s, and gives me a big hug and says, "Hey, Graham." And my wife stepped in so firmly with a hand out to introduce herself. It was like,
damn.
Claiming some territory here,
Back
are we?
in the good old days.
I like it. She claims that's just what she does because I always forget to introduce her. But that happened.
I like this other woman that came up to you. You said she was good looking at the time.
No, she's still good. I was just saying. I was trying to paint the picture of late 20.
You know what? I know what you're saying though, because it is nice when a woman actually shows some of that. Because we were in Tennessee and a waitress said she liked my shirt or my hoodie or whatever, and Teresa's getting all fierce. And I was like, yeah, all right. The chick doesn't want me. She just liked my shirt, But it does make you feel good as a dude.
Oh,
as an ugly guy.
To be desired once in a while in your life. It's an incredible.
Absolutely. You stay away from my man. What? What is this?
Incredible feeling. That is a story almost worth telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing. If you're looking for a place for a date this weekend, brunch, Midtown Brewing Company, fabulous menu, great drink selection. It is just I don't know, this time of year, cozy, great vibe, unbelievable menu, and you can go to midtownbrewing.net to check out more. And it's not some cliche place. You go to Midtown Brewing Company, it'll feel like you found a place that is got some character to it. That's the other thing I think is really really important there.
Next one from Andrew. What's your favorite Super Bowl food? I don't know. We always put out a pretty big spread because Teresa's Italian and they like to overfeed people. But I like starting off with a veggie cheese kind of tray because the veggies make you feel like you're actually eating somewhat healthy for a minute. And then you kind of get into chicken wings and other stuff like that. But there's not one thing other than a veggie platter and some cheese stuff. But
yeah,
other than that, just let it fly, whatever we kind of want at the time.
Yeah, Super Bowl to me, I always equate with dips of some sort. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you got to have dips.
Some sort of
chips and
some sort of really good guac or good bean dip or whatever it is, cheese. And
I always volunteered the chips. I'll bring the chips and the dip.
You're that guy.
Oh yeah, it's better than stopping at Taco Bell, I guess. Eric Larson next. When the Big Ten moves to 16 teams in 2 years, do you think the Big Ten will still go over 5 days? Maybe with seeds 1 through 4 and 13 through 16 playing Wednesday and 1 day rest to play the quarterfinals Friday, etc.
I think what they'll do is they'll just expand the number of teams that have to play. Well, that's a good question because at 16 you've got a straight tournament now. It'll be very interesting to see what they do because you want to reward teams that have good records, and that maybe they'll leave 2 teams out even. Some leagues do that, but my guess is they will expand the number of teams that play Wednesday and they'll still find a way to feed into 4 teams get the double bye, because I think there is something to that. I do not think, there are already questions about whether the conference tournament, especially going all the way to Sunday, helps or hurts you going into the NCAA tournament. You go to 5 games for everybody. There's going to be I guess it'd be 4 games for everybody if you just went to 16, straight 16. And I guess they could do that. There will be some complaining, though. And there will be more teams that just say, we don't really give a shit. We're going to throw out our B squad. This is the FA Cup or something. This is not, it's a soccer reference. But, this does not matter to us. And Izzo's been that guy sometimes. And there have been other teams, because the Big Ten championship will always be the regular season to me. And to a lot of people, it's a more meaningful title. The Big Ten tournament can have great meaning, but if it starts getting to the point where you got to win 4, even the best teams got to win 4 in 4 days, I think you got a problem there, and I think fewer teams will invest in it.
Scott Kalka next. Graham, you have watched a lot of MSU hoops this season. Can you explain why this offense can look so bad for 5 to 7 minute stretches where they can't score? Just a lack of a big man with an inside game? Thanks. Just a lack of a big man.
Yeah, I mean, it does help to have a guy you can throw the ball to in the post, right? I mean, that does it gets you out of it. But they also, it's not just that. It's they don't have a true automatic bucket getter. I mean, the closest thing they have is Tyson Walker, whose best shot is a mid-range jumper, right? Which is not an easy high percentage shot by nature. I think that's it. They don't have a guy who can just get to the rim at will and finish there. They don't have somebody they can score to in the post. They don't have a true star, and I think that lends itself to those stretches.
Tucker Tarlson next. You wake up in a cold sweat. It's 3 a.m. Everything is quiet. Just as you're about to go back to sleep, you make out 3 figures at the end of your bed. You turn on the light, and it's Zach Edey, Matt Painter, and Purdue Pete holding a bloody fireman's axe. What's your first move?
I appeal to Matt Painter's sensibilities. I've had conversations with him, and I just start talking hoops with Matt Painter. I delay whatever's about to happen. And I think Painter would fall for it. I do. I don't know about the others, but
I would just start laughing. I was like, "This is how it ends.
This is it. Yeah,
it's fantastic.
That's
life is just ridiculous."
Yeah.
JD next. Did the wrong center transfer, or does MSU need to retool how it coaches its bigs?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is a coaching situation. I think this is a talent identifying situation, and some of it circumstantial. I will say for Madi, I don't know. I mean, they recruited a guy they knew was a little raw, and they didn't know the COVID. Like if you knew that the COVID year was going to happen, and he wasn't going to get that whole initial year to develop and to work with him, do you take him initially? I don't know. That would be interesting. They knew he was a little raw, and I think they had higher plans for Marble. Marble's ceiling wound up being something a little different. Marble offensively wound up being fine. Defensively, did not become the player they thought he would be in terms of lateral quickness. When Marble first showed up, they really thought they had like another Andre Hudson, and it didn't. Hudson was a much better defender, and so. I don't think it's a coaching situation with those guys. I think some guys just have ceilings in who they are. But these are the sort of discussions, and many more, by the way, that you can get from our friends on their podcast. The Final Four is not on the schedule. Here's what you get. Every game, there is in-depth coverage of the matchup, followed by a post-game breakdown as well. It is for the serious and casual MSU fans. It's not overly... there's a lot of really good analysis, but it's not broken down in a way that you're going to be bored out of your mind if you're not truly into the metrics and other things like that. It's a great way to understand the strategy and what they did right and wrong. Lots of interviews, including people like me showing up on the show. That may or may not be something we should mention. Thomas Kelly, Mike Garland, Jeremy Fears, Garrick Normand. This week they had Madi Sissoko on, so if you got more Madi, the Final Four is not on the schedule, is the way to go. Recruiting updates. And it can be found on any podcast player. Go to youtube.com/@TFFINOTS for the videos. That's the acronym for the Final Four is not on the schedule. You can also visit www.thefinal4isnotontheschedule to learn more. Good fan pod. Those guys do a really nice job.
JD, can you really complain about not a single fucking person in the stands actually watching the LeBron shot if you fumbled your phone trying to film a tunnel skirmish instead of living in the moment?
So this is a dig at Solari, who
They're not
basically
really the same thing, though.
it's not the same thing.
No.
You're not. One is, you know.
One is you're in the moment watching LeBron. You, especially the people that were sitting really close. I mean, like you've made it in life if you're there, if you're sitting there. Just soak it all in, like Phil Knight did. But I mean, if you're in a skirmish, I mean, you're a beat reporter. That's your first thing is to bust the phone. Was it funny? 1,000%.
Yeah.
Was just Solari trying to do his job? Yeah, I think so.
And look, I'm not that me. I would not be a voyeur in that situation. That's not who I am.
World star.
And I'm not saying
Always wanted to do that.
Thank you. I think I might have tried to break it up. I don't know what happened, but I can promise you this. And I'm not talking about the helmet swinging. I'm talking about the initial skirmish.
Yeah. You'd get out of the way for that one.
Yeah, I'm not going to get near the helmet.
Hero.
But I definitely would not have brought up my phone. That would not have been my instinct.
All right. Nick Palmer. Do the Pistons actually have a direction?
I think so.
Trade second rounders for former draft busts?
So the Sadiq Bey, James Wiseman deal, I know a lot of people are not real happy with Sadiq Bey being traded.
Not Sadiq.
And here's the problem, and I get this. Like, it's almost like this was a guy who was supposed to be part of the core, and he's not going to be. And they've sort of fallen out of love with him, and his production hadn't been consistent. They didn't see him as a starter on a championship team, and I'll give them credit for this. I don't think the Wiseman fit makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, he's not Duran's a better player already, and he's younger and
18.
Yeah, I mean, and so
go.
I don't really get it. But Wiseman was a former number 2 pick. You take a look at him, you cut bait and don't re-sign him at the end of the year, just like you weren't planning to pay Sadiq Bey. And so I think the one thing I'll give Troy credit for is this is sort of an admission that this one didn't work out as they hoped, or as well as they hoped, especially early on. But I do like GMs who move on from mistakes rather than just admit that rather than struggle to admit that something isn't going to be the answer. As soon as you know somebody is not who you want as part of the future of things, or you don't think they're going to be the player, move on. And that's what they did. And so I don't mind not paying Sadiq Bey. Is Sadiq Bey a better player right now than Wiseman? Absolutely. But if you're not going to pay either of them, why not take a look at the other guy?
But you're looking towards the future, right? I mean, Bill Simmons and Russillo, I was listening to their podcast, and Russillo was like, you got to have at least one guy from the top 5 players in the league, right, to compete for a championship. The Pistons aren't anywhere close to that. Unfortunately, Sadiq Bey isn't playing well. He's got to go.
But
got to figure some stuff out.
Yeah, and to their credit, they keep trying to do it. I mean, that's what Ivy is. They're hoping becomes. That's what they're hoping Cade becomes. That's why you keep bringing these guys in. You hope Duran becomes something. You have to have stars, and until you get them, you keep trying to get them.
And you can't really shit on the GMs as much as we'd love to until they do something to make you shit on them. Troy Weaver hasn't really. I mean, can you question it? Sure, but are you going to jump off the bandwagon? I mean, you got to give the guy a shot to do some things here.
And I think the guys that they right now, Ivy, Cade, Duran, they would like those 3, with beef stew, so to speak, being and I don't know if he'll be a starter, but those 3 being the core. It's
going to have to be a homegrown grown operation, right? You're not going to be able to go to free agency and maybe make moves like like Ishbia did with Durant.
Not until you're good, although it does make you wish that Ishbia had bought the Pistons.
Absolutely. Or the Lions. Nick Palmer. How many wins will the Tigers get this year?
Who knows? It doesn't.
Buenos tardes. It is time for the Detroit Tigers Gambling Update with Gramanito Couch and Jason Nick.
I mean, it feels like it'll be better than last year because it just has to be.
Yes.
But so give me 74. 74 and 88. That feels like that kind of team to me. You're going under. Okay. Yeah, boy. Yeah.
It's going to be brutal. We're going to have to decide when we want to start betting against them, I guess.
Pretty early, I'm thinking.
Nick Palmer, when was the last time MSU hockey was more exciting than basketball?
It's been a while. Because I would say
07?
not even then. I mean, obviously when they won the national championship in that moment. But overall, where the programs were, MSU hockey had been up for so long that wasn't like this new thing. And so to me, it's probably mid-90s before the initial rise under Izzo. Because What's happened now is in the MSU hockey team, it's just 15, 13, and 2. They're just slightly above 500 in a really good Big Ten with 4 teams in the top 8 and all that stuff. But I think that it's all relative to where you've been, and it's exciting because it's new, it's different. The basketball team is not better than they've been over the last 2 decades. The hockey team this is definitely new. There is a buzz. It's that initial rise, and so it's been, I would say, mid-90s, but it definitely feels like it right now. Huge series this weekend against Michigan.
Next, Bo McJunkin's next. Why is Izzo so afraid of using our timeouts until the other team has gone on a 20-0 run?
I don't notice it quite to that extent, but other people do. I'll start paying more attention. Because he's usually a guy that about the time you go, boy, they need a timeout, you see it. Maybe a possession or two longer.
Okay, he's a Hall of Famer. Maybe he's letting his guys play through it and work themselves out of it, and then you're just like, wait a minute.
They're still college kids. Call the timeout when you really need it.
Next one from Bo. Why does this team routinely wet themselves and go through long stretches on offense where it seems like they're the NBA players who've lost their talent in Space Jam?
Yeah, and probably should have grouped this with the other one, but a lot of it has to do with not having a go-to guy. So, you can have something where you got a number of decent scores, and they're all hitting, and it looks amazing, although it hasn't happened a lot this year. But the problem is when they're all decent scores, you can have a minute where they're not all going, and that's why they got to become a better collective. And that's on Hogard, and that's on Hall to reintegrate himself. And, this team ought to be better offensively than it is.
Next one from Bo. If MSU goes 500 in conference, this will be the worst conference stretch of Izzo's career. Anyone wanting him fired is insane, but why is it deemed crazy to criticize him, especially when it's poor me at the press conference? If we do this again next year, I'll have questions.
Yeah, you can't – eventually, if you're going to be an elite program, you got to have an elite team. And now if they finish 12-8 in the Big Ten, ahead of the pack in the top 4, that's not elite, but it's ahead of the pack, so to speak. So we'll see. But it's fair to criticize Izzo. It's 100% fair to criticize Izzo. And he sometimes doesn't do himself any favors at the press conference, but he's living in the moment. He's not thinking about, 6 months ago when he said, hold me accountable if I say this or that. And he's wears his emotions on his sleeve. And for that, for a lot of years, you've probably loved him.
Exist up next. Why do fans give up so fast?
Because they also wear their emotions on their sleeves. I don't know if they give up.
I think Bo is right. I think a lot more fans are like Bo McJunkins, who just are critical of Izzo in game or outside of the game and then move on from it. Very, very little, if any. I've never met anyone that said they should fire Izzo.
Oh,
a Michigan State fan
on social media, they're out there.
I don't listen to that because I don't follow anyone that would say some shit like that. I guess, but I don't know.
There ought to be a thing where how when you spread misinformation on Twitter and then they had that thing where it would say fact check right below your tweet that was ridiculous. You ought to be able to deem that. If you're a fan, you ought to be able to criticize Izzo, but have this little asterisk that says, overall, I'm not saying he should be fired. So people understand that you're that you're not going to that length.
If you follow someone and you see their takes, you understand who they're dealing.
Yep.
I guess. Gavin Haas. Why does the 16-year-old's takes always end up with a Skyman read by the end of them? I turned 17 on Sunday. Yes, even I age.
Well, Gavin, you're just,
dude, you've been 16 since 2019. I'm just saying.
Yeah. it is a fair
good
point.
Bit.
Yeah, it does. It means this show takes a long time to. By the way,
stay 16.
Skymint with fantastic Valentine's Day specials through Valentine's Day, which is still 4 days away. Go to skymint.com to check it out. Some really cool things on gummies there. Skymint also will deliver to most people in the state. So many communities. If you go to skymint.com, find out if you are one of those communities. They also have gift cards available if you're looking for a gift for Valentine's Day. The gift of Skymint is a hell of a gift. Jason, you would agree. You would agree to this as well. Go to skymint.com, and thank you for teeing that up. Our 16-year-old, almost 17-year-old friend Gavin.
Happy birthday, man. Next one from Gavin. Do you agree with Troy Weaver's choice of trading Sadiq Bey? I feel like it may have been too early to give up on him, but you can't deny the regression he's shown this season. Mixed feelings on how the trade resulted.
Yeah, it's
that's what's going to happen when you trade for a former number 2 pick. There's a reason why Golden State's getting rid of him. It's not going to look great right now.
I think it's a little deflating because of who Bay looked like he was becoming as a rookie, and it wasn't happening. And the problem is, and this is like any sport, it's this is the reason I have issues with going forward with Jared Goff at how much it costs as a veteran quarterback. You get a window, and you get a window to evaluate. And if Saddiq Bey had said to the Pistons, "Hey, I'm having a down year," rather than extending me to a large deal, let's just re-up at the level of my rookie contract for another year, and then you can reevaluate me and we'll go from there. The Pistons would not have traded him. But Saddiq Bey wants to get paid, and guys who are average players and don't do enough to be starters on championship teams want to get paid, and so Saddiq Bey had to be moved. So I don't mind it in that sense. We'll have James Edwards on at some point soon to get into all this, because I do think there's some interesting questions on the roster.
We're dropping MFers?
And somebody asked the other day, we had a question about the Pistons not being interesting. The Pistons got a little bit interesting yesterday.
Next one from Gavin. Can we keep this schedule of Friday morning shows? I need something to listen to during the day to keep the boredom away at school.
So this is what we're doing, Gavin. We're pushing Skyman on him. We're giving him distractions. He's not getting anything done in class.
But we usually do it on Thursday night, so
Yeah.
you can just listen to it Friday.
That's true.
Morning and treat it as live as a podcast.
You could do that. I enjoy this time. Jason,
I hate it.
Hates this time.
I hate it.
So we'll probably keep the Thursday nights, but it is an alternative. I mean, you've noticed us go to these once in a while when we can't do when something doesn't work Thursday night.
Gavork next. Do you still think this MSU basketball team is better than last year's team?
I do. Now, there's some things that last year's basketball team, Bingham at his best was better than the fives they have now. But the guard play last year was even less consistent. Joey Hauser was nowhere near this player. Malik Hall was better. But, yeah, without question, I think this year's team would – I think if this year's team played last year's team, 10 times, this year's team would win 8 of them.
TT next. Does Matty Sissoko work on a three-pointer this offseason?
Not if he's smart.
I don't think he should start there.
No.
As a three-pointer, but
yeah. I mean,
rebound.
Yeah.
Hang on to the ball. Should he carry a basketball around at all times?
Like in the movie The Program?
Right.
Yeah. I think,
If you
again,
swat it out of his hands, you get a prize,
I do think
gift card.
every time he's walking across campus and he sees a pickup game, he ought to join it. That's it.
Look for the white guys. TT, what's the Joe Ingles of weed reference? Found nothing on Google. Oh, man. Found nothing on Google. Aren't all NBAers big users?
Oh, I love this.
One person searched that on Google.
I love
this.
this.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you, TT.
Well, Graham, you called me the Michael Jordan of weed, and I said I'm more of the Joe Ingles.
Yeah.
Right?
Sort of an inside
No
joke.
offense to Joe Ingles, but.
Yeah. I mean, early on when we were doing our Skyman promotion, and I was kind of a newbie to the cannabis world, and so I said, but our friend Jason here is the Michael Jordan of weed. He wanted to tamper that down a little, so Joe Ingles seemed more appropriate.
You mean the live reads when you just throw it to me randomly, and I'd just be like, wow, the place is clean. It's a clean environment.
Especially with the high voice.
I panicked. TT, prediction, better overall NBA career, Max Christie or Denzel Valentine?
Good question here. Now,
is Valentine still in the league?
No, he plays for the Maine Red Claws or whatever up in the G League. But the Boston affiliate, you have to say at this point, and Denzel had a couple moments that were okay, and injuries derailed some things, and he actually played a fair bit of time. But Max Christie's a guy who's shown some early promise, and we'll see how long he sticks and all that stuff. But health-wise, just durability-wise, I think Christie probably has a chance to have a longer, better career than Denzel.
Jack Bam next. Valentine's Day is coming up. Which rom-com are you going to watch? Roman Holiday, I Married an Axe Murderer, or Goodbye Girl?
None of those are. Hold on, give me 1 second.
I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me.
I'm not talking about you.
When you hold me in your arms so tight,
Hold on. This is ridiculous. Okay. So I struggled to find this because I don't know why I couldn't remember the name. There's a new movie out on Netflix and I think other places. Reese Witherspoon and Ashton Kutcher. Your Place or Mine.
Oh.
You talk about sucking up right in the Graham's wheelhouse.
Oh.
I was blank. Sorry if on that, but that is. I think it's out tonight. I mean, Elizabeth and I have it.
Skymint.
Yeah, no, Skymint might be flowing, but Elizabeth and I will be watching. Reese Witherspoon is like, you look at the movie with about Johnny Cash with her when she plays June Cash. She
Walk the Line.
Walk the Line. She's fantastic in a lot of things.
Absolutely great. She lost me when she got pulled over for a DUI, and then she goes, "Don't you know who I am?"
Did she do that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. I wish I
And I
didn't know
just
that.
was like, eh.
It's not great. Did she really do that?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah. You want some Hav?
Yeah.
All right. And she just looks like a child actor that never grew. You know, it's just like stunted at 15.
So she was riding shotgun, by the way, when this happened, though.
Either way,
It's
I
not
don't give a
great.
shit if you're riding on the hood.
You shouldn't say, "Do you know who I am?"
Oh,
That's not
it's
great.
the worst.
Reese.
It can make me not like someone.
Yeah,
if,
it's not
if I
good.
hear that they do it, and she knew. I mean, I don't know. She had to know that they were recording that shit.
Yeah.
Sports Guy 1919. When Izzo makes another Final Four, will he go casual wear or back to the suit and tie?
I feel like if he's at the Final Four, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if Final Four coaches start to tighten it up a little bit, but
Izzo wear a thong. He doesn't give a shit. He just wants to
Yeah.
get back there.
casual
What
wear.
do you want me to wear? Sports Guy. Who is your first TD scorer for the Super Bowl? I gotta say, I haven't looked at first TD yet.
First TD, I mean, to me,
I love anytime touchdowns, but
yeah.
we're gonna sprinkle for sure.
To
first
me, to
TD.
give Jalen Hurts on a running play near the goal line, not like a something like a 4-yard run around the edge.
And if you're new to gambling, by the way, if you do see Jalen Hurts as an anytime touchdown scorer, he has to run it in.
yes, that's not a passing touchdown.
And I'm not treating you like you're an idiot because I've had people ask that before,
Yep.
so it's normal.
Yep. And you can download the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app and make that bet if you want to today.
Sports Guy 1919, what is your long shot bet for the Super Bowl?
To me, it's probably Travis. Well, it's neither team to score a touchdown is always my long shot bet, but realistically, it's Travis Kelce to win MVP at plus 900.
Yeah, I might sprinkle. It's plus 1250. It's Chiefs to win over under 34.5. If you think the defense is, both these are going to come to play.
Wait, Chiefs to win.
Chiefs to win and get the game total would be 34.5.
And what are the odds on that?
Plus 1250.
Interesting.
So you would be gambling for a low scoring game, the Chiefs to win.
Yeah. Okay.
Little sprinkle. From the Woodshed next. Do you know why Jaron Duhart left the program?
So he's a graduate assistant or student coach. I'm not sure what his title was. Michigan State's football team and
creative director.
But I think it's an academic. I mean, you only get so many years where you're that guy. Like I don't think he was forced out. I think it's a good question.
Term limits.
Yeah, but I don't know the specifics. But I mean, a lot of times if you're GA, you get so much time or whatever, or you get a better offer. But I don't know the specifics. No.
Next one from the Woodshed. Fun fact: since the year 2000, every NFL MVP who played in the Super Bowl the weekend after winning the award has lost. Give me the Eagles by 16. Appreciate you.
That's an interesting little factoid there.
Wow.
Huh.
I don't like that.
No.
That just changed things.
Thank you from the Woodshed.
God damn it.
I hate stats. From Jason Nick, yeah.
Spartan 18770. Graham, how many times can you bench 225 right now?
So I did 12 right when we did it.
You should be able to fire off 10 of these with your short arms.
Now, I've been doing some push-ups just in case the man bra bet, hit. But I would say
Molding clay.
I could probably do 6 or 7 right now.
All right. Next one from Spartan. If you had to lose one bet, would it be the bra or tattoo bet?
Oh, by far the bra. I'll wear the bra on this show all day before I want the words blue wall tattooed across my chest. Yeah. Would you want blue wall tattooed on your chest?
I know, but you have to think about the pictures that will be taken. I mean, how many times anything you ever tweet out, Upper Deck Jerk Guy will have you in a negligee, whatever the hell you call it. And the tattoo, it's a picture of your chest that says blue wall, but at least you can cover it up.
Yeah. I'm still going with the bra.
Spartan, what percentage of your listeners hope MSU wins 19 games and makes the tournament? I would hope to say at least 90%.
Yeah.
But if I would think people would be like, well, if it happens, it happens. It'll be funny.
Yeah,
It's
so
something to look forward to.
19. I mean, it could happen. I think. Oh, I'm going to celebrate like hell when they win that 20. It's going to be.
You didn't have to do this, by the way.
I know.
This wasn't brought to your attention. You brought it to the show.
Yeah.
Couch on Fire next. Do I get a Groovy Donut award for getting 3 Hoffs played on my last questions?
No, but it's impressive. I have to say.
That's
It's,
pretty good. I don't know if we
it's-
want to start like honoring that though, because people will just try to get us to fucking
get stumped. You know, I'm easily stumped. Yeah, it can be Reese Witherspoon.
any name of person.
Yeah, and I'm stuck. By the way, speaking of Groovy Donuts, some cool things going on with Fat Tuesday. It's a Fat Tuesdays deal. When you buy 2 or more items of merchandise or whole bean coffee in store, you get 30% off. And that's going on with Fat Tuesday. And also, again, pre-order your Fat Tuesday Punchki orders. And pre-orders can be picked up on Monday the 20th or on Fat Tuesday when they're open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Hours different than usual. The great usual offerings from Monica and Andrew at Groovy Donuts: apple, apricot, blueberry, cherry, chocolate, cream
Cherry.
cheese, custard, lemon,
Vanilla.
prune, raspberry, and unfilled.
Any flavor,
Punchkis.
really.
Yeah. And again, donuts always at Groovy Donuts. 2 locations on East Lansing and Lake Lansing Road and in Williamston.
Put your pants back on.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Couch on Fire. How should I feel watching Northwestern with a better record and generally playing better than MSU? Not good?
Well, let's see what MSU does against Ohio State. Northwestern just won there. Northwestern's got a really nice backcourt, I think. And Northwestern's not played quite the schedule Michigan State has, but I'd say they're fairly equal. Like, if those 2 teams played again, I would think Michigan State's a little bit better because I think they've got that's a nice backcourt. And Northwestern, I mean, eventually Northwestern should be decent. They've got a senior-laden backcourt. I think Michigan State's got a little bit better at the forward spot, but Northwestern's backcourt's as good as any in the Big Ten.
Couch on Fire. Did Iowa just disprove the stop Edey defense approach with Iowa?
So I was only paying a little attention to this game last night, so I don't know everything they did. They
lost.
They lost big, and although they got it within 8 at some point, so I have to look at I don't know what you mean specifically by that, but yeah, so I can't answer the question.
PMCK next. If a foul is committed in an empty arena with no one else to see him, does Teddy Valentine blow the whistle?
Oh, hell no. No, he's not wasting his time. Not a chance.
PMCK.
Have you ever done that, though, where you're like a show out, like if nobody's around, you care a lot less? I mean, it speaks to your character, obviously, but you
About what? Refereeing a game?
Anything, yeah. It's just like,
If no one can see me?
yeah.
Oh,
Nobody can see you
absolutely.
show off. Yeah.
Yeah, no way.
I used to be like that in high school tennis. Like, my record, if there were like peers of mine, especially of the female persuasion, watching,
Oh, God.
I was like 75% better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I'd go to the gym, I'd go to the Y back in the day. If there was treadmills that would face the weight area, I would work out harder because I'd go in at 7 o'clock and there'd be all of these ladies on the treadmill.
Yeah.
It's just a natural dude thing, right?
Totally.
Some dude next. Graham, can you please remind Sissoko to take his boxing gloves off before the next game?
So Sissoko's hands are never going to be great. I've seen worse hands at MSU, which is Gavin Schilling.
In Maddie's defense, though, some of the passes to him
Not great.
off pick and rolls have been pretty bad.
Yeah, there have been some. Now, you see Sissoko's athletic limitations in terms of his size and some of the way the ball's thrown above the rim. Like if he was 4 inches taller, he could go get a couple of those. But yeah, there have been some passes both in the last game and the Rutgers game that you're like, you got to make it better if it's Maddie. But also, those are not great passes regardless.
Some dude. Have you ever stopped to think how bizarre it is that refs are such complete ass that they made a refs being ass as a part of the TV broadcast?
Did they do that?
I don't
That's
recall
incredible.
that.
I mean,
I guess you have to.
I respect the TV broadcast for doing that. But
Do they really say refs being ass?
yeah. We want more details, some dude.
Yeah. Next one from some dude. In a late game situation, have we ever seen Izzo foul when up 3, putting the other team on the line?
I have, because this is a debate with him on whether to do it. He does not. The reason he doesn't do it, and I get him on this, and I get coaches who don't, is they don't trust refs. We just said refs are ass. I don't trust that a ref can understand, and somebody leaning in and throwing a ball up, and giving them 3 free throws. I do not trust refs. Therefore, I understand why this is hard for people to do.
Even if you could trust refs, I would.
It's a hard thing.
Izzo.
Yeah,
just let them try. If they hit it, then we go to OT.
But I'm fairly positive he has a couple times because after he's done it, he's brought it up.
Some dude. Do people call you stubborn just because you don't do what they want you to do? I mean, we're all married here, yes?
I mean,
is that inside with him and his?
No, I mean, but yeah, I mean that's the whole. Yeah, I see what you're saying though. Just because you don't want to do something, people think you're stubborn. That's a good point. Like it's not. That doesn't mean you're stubborn. You just don't want to do something. Like how many times does Therese say you're stubborn when it's really just you don't want to do something?
Not really. It's pretty much known if it's something that she really wants me to go to.
Yeah.
I always ask, like, do you need me at this thing? And if she says yes, I go. If not, she can do something with a friend or.
See, I like that
that's how marriage works, I guess.
I like that she's up front with that. There are times that I've got to read, and Elizabeth's not wishy-washy.
Oh, don't give her too much credit. She doesn't do it all the time.
Okay.
Sometimes she expects me to go out of my way to
figure it out,
to enjoy something.
Yeah.
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 I just told her, I'm like, let me just complain about it. I'll go. I'll probably enjoy it. Just, where are we at?
We're at.
Did I get scrolled down wrong here? Because we have exist again, right?
Oh, yeah. That we already done exist. Yeah, sorry. That got copied instead of. Yeah, that was my bad.
All right. Plus size softball dad. If Brazilian soccer is the samba, what dance is the MSU basketball?
What dance is MSU basketball? Something that's a little
step on your date's toes, white boy sway.
Yeah, and early on learning a 2-step, your first time out in the dance lesson.
Someone's toes getting hurt.
Yeah,
Liz Frank.
A bad Texas 2-step is MSU basketball.
Jeffrey Daly, Couch. What's your go-to bourbon? And Rube, what's your go-to edible?
The New Holland Beer Barrel bourbon is I like lots of bourbons, but it is one that's easily purchased in just about every liquor store around Michigan, at least that I go to, and it is affordable but not cheap. Really good. It's really good. Like to me, that's my economy go to. Always have it in the house. Need a glass. Sometimes just in the mood for it. That's my go to.
Skymint used to have these caramels. They still have caramels that are good, but they used to be 20% THC, and you could just take one and fly high. But, any of their edibles, I got to say, just not because they're a sponsor, but if you take 15 mgs or wherever you're at in your cannabis journey, any of them usually work. But I love those caramels that they made, but they still have some, but they're just less THC. John, up next. Graham. Due to canceled flights, the MSU beat piles into one vehicle. Who drives? Who shares their whiskey? Who doesn't share their whiskey? Does the driver change if there is snow?
It's a good question because this group never really drives together. Like when Rexford was around, he would always want to drive, and it drove me nuts because I like to drive too. I don't care as much, but he just had to drive. I would want to drive.
But why though? Why did Rexroad have to drive?
I don't know. I think he was in an accident once or something like that. He just didn't trust other people. Like we once, it was interesting that we were once white knuckling it back from Bloomington, Indiana. Like just a Sunday that we should have got on the road earlier. Big snowstorm. Usually a 5-hour drive. Took us 10. And he was in the car. It was me and Diamond Leung. You're not going to let Diamond drive because he's from California and he was a horrible driver. But we were going to pull over in Fort Wayne and just spend the night. I had to be back to do Ebling's TV show that night. These are the early days of Ebling's TV show, 2013.
The good old days.
And I said, look, I'm willing to drive, so you can not white knuckle it, but I'm not willing to pull over. And the problem was, so Joe just had to drive the whole way because he wasn't willing to let anybody else drive. So I don't know, but if you're if you bring whiskey into the equation, who wants the whiskey in the?
Then Rexroad won't want to drive.
I'll let somebody else drive. You're right. I wouldn't share though. I'm a germaphobe a little bit. I would, although I would pour it to somebody else. I would
say you don't have to swig off the bottle like some weirdo.
Yeah, I would share my whiskey. I love going to a friend's house.
That would be great though to see you though with the bottles. No,
this is mine.
Share your fucking whiskey, you weirdo.
Yeah. The driver change if there's snow. I don't see this group. I really don't know. We never drive together.
John next. To avoid a new chest tattoo, how many writers does Graham have to ask for a Matt Weiss article?
Yeah, no, I will start. If we get into like the summer and nobody's done anything, I'll start putting out some flyers. Hey, what's going on with that? Don't want blue wall on my chest.
Professor, what was your first car, and did it have a name?
What was your first car?
It was a Cadillac Sedan DeVille, 1987. My stepdad upgraded his, so he gave me that car. It was pretty sweet. I was really lucky.
That is, yeah.
I didn't really call it anything. I did have a vehicle I called the No Pussy Mobile. It was like a because I hit like 3 deer, and so I had to drive this. It was like a Dodge Dart or something, and it just was a box. And I'm like, listen, it's already an uphill battle for me. You throw in this vehicle, there ain't no way.
So I had a 1990 Celebrity station wagon, which weren't the huge station wagons, but they were big enough, and I had seats in the back. And, everything is relative to the stage of life. Because in high school, it was okay. Some kids had better cars, but it had 8 seat belts. So you could put a fair group, a big number of people in there, which is beneficial, right? And then in college, when I got it back for a little while, when the final year I was in, final year at Columbia College, because I was covering games in the suburbs on a freelance basis on like high school football and stuff like that, and needed one. Like, nobody else had a car, though. So you become somebody. Nobody cares. It's like, holy crap, you have a car?
Oh, yeah.
Can you pick me up from the airport? Can you do this? Can you?
You remember, because the kids that turned 16 early because they were held back or something, right? And the kid got a car, and you're sitting there walking to the basketball court, and it's like, damn, that kid's cool.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter what kind of car it is. So I did not have a name, but I loved that car until I hit a deer on Memorial Day 2003.
Neurotic Pants. Jason, wouldn't you agree that some of MSU's football recruits are likely worth a win or two more next season? I mean, a competent kicker would have resulted in a win against Indiana. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, definitely a kicker definitely would have helped as far as recruits. I mean, I don't know. I don't follow it as closely as other people to tell you, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are some transfers that should, perhaps elevate some things. And eventually you do want to have some guys who are 4-star, eventually 5-star guys who come in, and you want to have impact freshmen who, you don't want to ever be leaning on your freshmen, but you want guys sort of like the basketball team next year who raise your talent. Like, oh my gosh, that cornerback or that receiver, that guy does some things, a playmaker who just elevates who you are and is difficult to deal with. There's no doubt that, and as they get more of these 4-star guys, the hope for MSU is that a few of those guys emerge early.
Neurotic Pants, who was your weirdest or scariest high school teacher?
You have one?
I don't remember his name, but he was a shop teacher, and he was just a wild dude. But other than that, nothing jumps out at me.
I mean, I had incredible good teachers at Lansing Sexton, and that's not just a plug for the Lansing schools, but like even some of my weirdest people I was scared of, Mr. Carmen, unbelievable math teacher, calculus and algebra and all that. I mean, he was intimidating, and but he was a little odd, but he was unbelievable. And actually, I had him in middle school, and like people would still call him in high school for questions. And then Miss Go Ray was this semi racist economics teacher. I don't know if she was racist, but she was intimidating, and she was tough.
Just throw racist out there.
Well, she did. We had one situation with one Hispanic girl who said her name and like with a sort of Hispanic pronunciation, and she said, you're an American now, honey. Like, that wouldn't fly today, especially
Hilaria Baldwin.
But it did back then, apparently. Yeah.
I just loved it though. A racist.
Well, it
was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus. Neurotic Pants. Graham, would you agree that fans of MSU basketball under Izzo are prisoners of the moment more than any other fan base? His February suck.
Don't coach my team.
I don't know that all his Februaries do. I think his early Februaries have. I think his Februaries have been transition months for some teams that weren't great all the time. And, we'll see if this one winds up being one of those, but it certainly wasn't 15 and 19 and 20. So those were years where they sort of – so I don't know. Prisoners of the moment more than any other fan base. I don't know other fan bases. I really don't. I mean, I remember covering Western Michigan, but that was a decade ago, and that was a little different. Like, this is the of major college basketball and college football. This is the fan base that I know best, so I don't really have that sense.
Neurotic Pants, can we have a meetup where we sacrifice a goat to Elon Tusk. Elon Tusk, is that a nickname that you guys have for Elon Musk?
It must be. Yeah.
Okay.
I would love to have another meetup. I do not think we'll sacrifice a goat.
For the right amount of money.
Well,
I
that's
think.
true. Yeah, we do. Yeah.
On air. Fart Soup next. My fiance doesn't have a TSA pre-check. Am I a jerk for ditching her for the pre-check line? Shoes stay in at the airport, honey. See you in a half hour.
Yeah. No.
Therese has that, and I didn't when we went to Nashville. And I was like, go for it. Go ahead.
I don't mind. Yeah, I should have TSA pre-check as much as I fly, and I don't.
You don't have it?
I don't need it. It's like most. I know all the tricks. I don't need it, and a lot of times nowadays there's so many people in TSA pre-check. It's just as fast to go the other way. I should do it, and I will get it at some point. It's just
so
one
you're
of those
saying
things.
you know better ways around a TSA pre-check?
I'm just saying if you really are desperate, you use the Westin Hotel at the Detroit Metro. If you really, there are ways, where the line is less at different airports.
Isn't it like $40 for like 10 years to have
No,
it?
it should be done. I was supposed to go to the interview once at Detroit Metro to do it, and I couldn't find my passport, and it was a whole deal.
I guess that's over. Yeah. I tried.
It's kind of a give-up attitude, isn't it?
Yeah. Fart Soup with this one. When Graham signed up for the Furnace Club, how many times did they ask, really? Or are you sure?
The first time, no, they sold it to me pretty hard, and I hook, line, and sinker.
You're like, all right, I guess I'll do it. I'm sorry, what, sir? You said what?
Sure, $20 a month. Here you go.
Free donuts or Fart Soup and Eric Larson. What other clubs is Graham a part of? Oven, Blender, Toaster, the Omar's After Midnight Club, the Hawaii Spa Handshake Club, the Ovid Fest Club.
These are good.
I had an Omar's card back in the day.
Did you really?
Yeah, I got it for my birthday, my 21st birthday, and it allowed you and a friend to free admission because they would charge like $10 or something.
How often did you use it?
All the time.
Yeah.
When I was 21, are you kidding me? I used it so much they rejected it because it came off the card. It was just a silver card. Like there was no more writing on it because I used it so much. I pulled it in and out of my wallet.
Another story we're telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown.
And by the way,
Lansing.
you don't want to shake anyone's hand at the Hawaii Spa.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, if you're thinking about a night at Omar's, you can start the night at Midtown Brewing Company. It's not far. It's not far at all.
Stout would be proud. Kyle next. Has Steph Curry and the three-point shot ruined college basketball? It used to just be the role of the one white guy in the court. Now you have 7-footers jacking them up. Offenses look more disjointed.
Well, there's just more skill than ever, and Steph Curry is part of the revolution of three-pointers. But there's just, the skill today is incredible, and there are times where I think three-point shot ruins it when you have people shooting at a low percentage. Like one of my pet peeves with the idea that Michigan State takes too many two-point shots, and I understand that's not the way teams play to win today, is I actually think the mid-range jumper is a pretty effective shot, and I think what you're going to see when you talk about Russillo and Simmons, and I think they may have been talking about this the other day. When you watch a team like Phoenix, now with Durant and Chris Paul, they're going to mid-range their way to an NBA title, and it can be done, and it's still a really good shot.
Kyle next. Couch, you're the coach of a Premier League team. What formation are you running?
Kind of a 10-0, a high press, just come at, just really want to put pressure on you. That's a good question. I haven't thought about it. I love I love teams that play bring their defenders up on the outside and play as wings, and but that's less formation and more philosophy. So I don't think that matters as much, but it's not something I've thought a great deal about. But I would play a very aggressive offensive style and probably give up 7 goals a game.
Peacock.
Ryan Rockwell. Graham, did you check your furnace filter? A friend's furnace stopped working, and they paid a HVAC guy $200 for a service call, and it was just a dirty filter. And who really wants you to go through with the man bra bet if you lose the bet?
I think most people do, right? Sorry, these are supposed to be separate questions.
Oh.
Most people, yeah, my bad. I forgot to separate them. The furnace filters we're good with. We keep a whole set of fresh ones ready to go. And
Always prepared.
I've learned that lesson.
When you're in the furnace club, do you have to take a picture and send it to the group to make sure
this is
on the up and up?
Yeah. By the way, I don't think I'm a member of any other clubs. Just the furnace and air conditioning club, which now is free. By the way, if you spend $7 or $8K on an air conditioner or on a furnace, you get membership for 3 years.
What time did you tell them?
Oh, well, we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Ryan Rockwell. Jason, what happened to the North Coast Wealth Management as a sponsor? I missed the commercials where you told us they were a member of FINRA SIPC. Is that not right?
No, that was right.
Is it FINRA, though?
No,
I don't know.
No, they were a great sponsor and still good friends and
Mark
listeners.
and Jay, yeah.
We love them. And we just, I mean, they we had a full year with them, and it was a good deal for both sides. And yeah, not every sponsorship is forever, and not every sponsorship ends like Halo Sport.
We're not supposed to talk about that. DMB next. Why did Jeff Smoker and Max Bulla get treated so differently by the media? D'Antonio and the Green Wall keeping the Bulla suspension a mystery to this day. Yet poor Smoker got thrown to the wolves. Shake my head.
Yeah, I wasn't around when the Jeff Smoker thing happened in terms of how it was covered. So there are different circumstances, right? I would think, but and a lot more leaks in the program. I would guess. That's why it's covered. It's what you can find out. And the Bulla situation was not for lack of effort. It was unbelievable.
I know, but are they going to the grave with this? Like, it's amazing. After all the years, you'd think it would just come out somewhere.
Yeah, eventually we just got to have a sit down with them, right? Yeah.
Clint, one ball Baney. How many games will the Spartans win in the Big Ten tournament?
I think they're going to start on Friday. I think they get the 4 seed, they'll win 1, so they'll play 2.
Clint Baney. Who will be Michigan State's next first-round football draftee?
That's a really good question. I mean, can a guy like Keon Coleman have the sort of year? I mean, he has the frame, the build, but you have to be a really elite receiver at the college level to get there, and the odds are against him. Second round seems much more realistic, but I would say he's the next guy with a real chance.
Next one from Clint. Rube. Fuck, marry, kill. Pop star edition. Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, and Jessica Simpson. First of all, shout out to you for actually putting some ladies in that are fun to think about. I would have to say I'm killing Britney Spears. Like, watching her on Instagram and stuff, it's just really, it's borderline sad and weird. Jessica Simpson, definitely F. And Christina Aguilera. I guess I'd marry Christina Aguilera.
Yeah,
I like that one. Tyrone Couch, how are you?
We're well. I think we're good. You good?
Why did you leave this one in here?
I don't know.
I'm doing fine, man.
Thanks, Tyrone.
Tyrone Couch, spiciest food you would eat? I'm out. On anything.
I would do.
I'm such a wuss.
Yeah, I would do like a shrimp cocktail thing that really gets to your nostrils. Some of that stuff I can't resist.
Where the fuck are you getting a shrimp cocktail then?
Oh, you're getting it down at like Harry and Izzy's and places like that down in Indianapolis.
And it's hot?
Oh, it's got a kick like nothing else.
Yeah. Tyrone Couch. Is 8 weeks of federal testing too long? I'm not looking forward to administering 144 tests. I think it's too long. Money scams disguised as testing killed the Lansing Promise. Cut testing, it's paid for.
I need to look more into this. I don't know how money scams disguised as testing killed the Lansing Promise, but I'm intrigued, and I will look into it. Thank you, Tyrone.
What a tease.
Yeah.
Next one from Couch. Favorite porn?
Donuts.
Usually it's just Pornhub, whatever your mood is, right? I guess. All right. You left it in. Jake Hoggins. Should Matt Ishbia be given some credit for the Phoenix Suns acquiring Kevin Durant?
Yeah, I mean, I think he
should get all the credit, right?
He was a big part of it. I think from the different reporting I've read and heard is that he basically said, let's just do this. He had to give the go ahead. There's going to be a luxury tax. You're getting rid of assets that are quality. This is a very much Ishbia driven thing.
But you think it's going to ruin Durant's legacy, though? Because I really like Durant as a player, but you keep going to different teams and trying these.
But I think that
had
already been done. So if this was the first time, like, he's already viewed that way. So I don't think it ruins his legacy.
All right.
And if he wins a legacy, a place that hasn't won one, like this, he's not going to a place that's won one. Chris Paul's never won one. If he's the guy that brings them over the top, that's a little different.
All right. Jake Hawkins, great column on Jeremy Fears and Xavier Booker. When they arrive at MSU, do you think the basketball team can possibly compete, maybe win the Big Ten, and if not, at least make the national championship game? How far can they go in the tournament?
Thank you, Jake. No, I think there's a chance next year's team is a absolute contender if Malik Hall comes back, and they maximize the guys they have. There's no doubt the potential is there. Fears is, Cohen Carr, these guys, Booker, these are guys who should be guys who help early on, to what degree and how much they elevate MSU and how much the everything meshes, we'll see. But there's no doubt next year has a chance to be the sort of team that you dream of having, where you have an older seasoned group that's got a lot of good college basketball players and talent and younger guys who elevate who you are.
Next one from Jake. Do you guys think that the next wave of NFL QBs, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Herbert, Jackson, Lawrence, will ever live up to the same standards and put together quite the era we saw with Brady, Breeze, and the Manning brothers, Rivers, and Roethlisberger? Well, yeah. It has to happen, right? There's always a new generation of talent.
And Mahomes, Burrow, especially, and Allen, it's a great group right now. It is a great group.
And Mahomes has, 2 MVPs? And if he wins another Super Bowl?
Totally.
Next one from the Hawk. Have either one of you guys ever needed a 4-day darkness getaway retreat to sort things and figure your life out like what Aaron Rodgers is doing? What do you think is the ending result of that he returns to Green Bay or he gets traded or retires?
I've never had a 4-day darkness getaway. I've tried. I can't even do 4 days off Twitter, so that's not happening.
Did you hear about what goes on, though? Like you sit in a room, and I think they give you a diaper, and there's a hole for food, I guess. It's just way too much, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I
think he goes to the Jets. I think he's out. He doesn't owe Green Bay shit. I don't think he retires. I mean, he is one of those guys that you could see him retiring, but $60 million?
Somehow he's in San Francisco next year.
Oh. Okay. Next one from the Hawk. How much has the extended NFL regular season and playoffs affected the college basketball season?
I don't know if it affects it at all, other than I think the casual fan who's sort of cyclical, who sort of says, "Oh, what's now? What's next?" turns to it later, and that's all that it is, and it shortens the season.
It's been the same for. I mean, other than Michigan State hoops, though, after NFL season, you have to roll right into it.
Yeah.
Next one from Jake. Which car rental company do you think is the best, and or do you usually do business with?
I've had good experiences with a number of them. Enterprise used to be my jam. Now it's Avis, and have a great deal with them at the Lansing Airport, and the people there take care of me. So I don't really have. I've had one bad experience overseas with Hertz, but that was a whole deal where I booked a manual and needed an automatic because I was going to be on the other side of the road and got charged a lot more.
Did you leave a review?
I did not. This was 2007, 2008. I didn't. Yeah.
And finally, am I supposed to read this? Hans Jurgen.
I was just letting you know that Hans is the last one. There's no upper deck shirt guy. I was trying
right.
Thanks for playing that smoothly.
Sorry. Yeah. It's hot in here. Hans Jurgen, my favorite Super Bowl prop bet is Chris Jones winning the Super Bowl MVP at 50-1 odds. Am I throwing my money away? Von Miller won Super Bowl 50 MVP.
I don't think so, right? 50-1's pretty good odds, and
it's a good sprinkle, and if you think both defenses are going to come to play, I mean.
And if there's a defensive player on Kansas City, like Kansas City has more likely defensive players than the Eagles, just because the Eagles have more of them, if that makes sense.
But what would have to happen, though? Like, both quarterbacks would have to be – the game is going to have to be ass.
Yeah.
And Chris Jones makes a strip sack that results in a fumble or something.
Correct. 2 sacks, one of them a strip sack fumble in a big moment.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's worth a sprinkle at 50-1, I guess. Next one from Hans. Why doesn't this MSU team try to run? They only average 68 points a game. Is it because they only play 9 guys?
I think they try to run. They're just not natural at it, and some of it's that. But and it's just not who. Like Walker has never been a guy who did that. They walked the ball up at Northeastern. It's never been a natural thing for him. He struggled with it last year, and so I think that's part of it. There never been some. I mean, I think Akins, Hogard can be a natural running team and filling. A guy like Hauser. Filling the back there and shooting threes in transition. But it's interesting because they have not been a team that has been able to get their break going consistently.
Hans, with whom in the sports media would you most like to copulate?
I'll ask you this question first, my friend.
What person in local sports media or national?
Any.
Local? I don't want to have sex with anybody.
Okay.
Yeah,
and my wife's in media. There you go. Oh, she's not in sports media, but whatever. That's my answer there, Hans.
All right, and lastly, Hans, what are your proofreading tips? What are your tips for not feeling shame after watching porn?
Jason, what do you got?
It's inevitable. You're going to feel shame no matter what. It's a weird thing, you know, that happens to you as a man, where you just go, oh, that was embarrassing. But you move on quickly.
Proofreading. Just read things carefully. Read it back. Read it the next day if you can, because you haven't just written it. That would be my thing.
And remind yourself everyone masturbates.
There you go.
Last one from Hans. What is your favorite large donut? Apple fritter, coffee roll, Long John?
The apple fritter is incredible at Groovy Donuts, without question. I've had their Long Johns. Well, I don't know if I don't know if they do a coffee roll, but I would try. Apple fritter is up there. I'm thinking about their donuts now. It's not good. Reminder: pre-order at Groovy Donuts for Punchkis for Fat Tuesday. Go to groovydonuts.com. We appreciate them. We appreciate all of you and your Groovy Donut Twitter questions. Thanks to the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app and Firekeepers Casino. You can download that app and bet the Super Bowl prop bets. We appreciate Skymint. You're going to need Skymint to get through this weekend. To Midtown Brewing Company, to Hopcat, thank you all. I'm going to go get a furnace. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.